Welcome back, guys. There's been an awful lot of discussion lately about whether an Otsutsuki can be placed under Genjutsu, and I've seen it debated left and right, and I get the question all the time, so I just want to give you guys a definitive answer.
It's about damn time!
And I'll talk about both technically speaking and practically speaking. And the first half is really just going to be a whole lot of common sense, and then in the second half, we'll dive a little deeper into it. And I'm going to explain it from every angle I can think of. So the answer to the question is, yes, obviously Genjutsu can work on Otsutsuki. It can be done. But in practice, not just any fodder Genjutsu is gonna work. It's gonna take a strong one. Like, come on guys, can we just use common sense here? Genjutsu is not any less effective of a ninja art as ninjutsu or taijutsu. Some people are specifically more vulnerable to one ninja art over the other, but no clan in Naruto is just randomly immune to a ninja art with no mechanism for which that's the case. Let's use Kabuto as an example. Kabuto could just turn off his vision using his snake eyes so that he can't make eye contact with you or look at whatever you need to for most visual genjutsu. And with Sage Mode, he could sense everything around him super well, so that wasn't a big deal. Or you can wear earplugs to protect yourself from sound genjutsu because you can't hear the sound, which is what's being used to affect you here, which we see Shikamaru do in the anime versus Edo Taiyuya. With these examples, there's a specific mechanism for which Kabuto was immune to normal visual genjutsu, or wearing earplugs can protect you from sound genjutsu, because it was preventing the attacker from making the desired connection with the receiver that they needed to perform the genjutsu. And don't worry, I'll explain how Genjutsu works in greater detail later. But the point is, the Otsutsuki clan is not just immune to any and all genjutsu just because without a mechanism. If you want to argue that they are immune, you need to explain how. Before we go any further though, if you're one of the 4,000 returning viewers who keep watching videos but not subscribing, guys, I'm like my guy when he kept challenging Kakashi to sparring matches. I'm not going to give up and stop challenging you to hit the subscribe button until all of you are subscribers. So in honor of Mike Guy getting Kakashi to acknowledge him, acknowledge me and support the channel and just subscribe and hit the bell icon. You're already watching the videos anyway. Getting back to it, as I've said, this is just kind of silly to begin with. Genjutsu is one of the three basic ninja arts, and neither Genjutsu, ninjutsu, or taijutsu are the best out of the three. They're all equal overall, it just depends on what you are best at using, and what your opponent is weakest to. We saw Jigen use taijutsu to beat up a Susanoo in Kurama Avatar. We saw Might Guy use taijutsu to beat Kisame's ninjutsu. We've seen Genjutsu win fights with Itachi. The infinite Tsukiyomi is one of the strongest jutsu in the verse, that attacks the entire planet all at once. Naruto and Sasuke beat Kaguya with a ceiling ninjutsu. Pain had a Rinnegan, but the two Toad Sages got him with a sound genjutsu, and so on. Otsutsuki can be defeated by taijutsu and ninjutsu. So why would they just randomly be immune to genjutsu only without a specific mechanism for why it wouldn't work? That's just goofy. Momoshiki could absorb ninjutsu, and that's why ninjutsu was pointless against him at first, so they beat him up with taijutsu. But once they stabbed his eye and they literally killed him with a Rasengan. Why would he just randomly be immune to Genjutsu without a specific ability to make him immune, like his Rinnegan ability was a specific ability to make ninjutsu pointless, or by having a specific eye that makes you immune to a specific jutsu, like how Sasuke had a Rinnegan that made him immune to the infinite Tsukiyomi, or how Kabuto just turned off his eyes to prevent Itachi from using Tsukiyomi on him, or Sasuke from using his Mangekyou Sharingan on him. You need to give an actual explanation for why Genjutsu just wouldn't be able to work on all Otsutsuki. Like if Momoshiki had a Rinnegan ability where he absorbed Genjutsu and fired it back, that would be a good example, but that's not what he had, and that would only be Momoshiki anyway. Tell me why Genjutsu wouldn't work on Otsutsuki just because, but taijutsu and ninjutsu can. I don't really think anybody has a good answer to that. The only argument people have is that,
well, we hadn't seen it used on Otsutsuki, so therefore it probably wouldn't work.
but I don't want to hear it, it's just poor writing. Sasuke can absorb ninjutsu with his Rinnegan too. But guess what? When Momoshiki threw that giant jutsu called the Reign of the Emperor Jutsu, or Takami Musubi no Kami on the arena, Sasuke didn't even try to absorb it. Even if you want to say, oh, Sasuke can't absorb all that chakra or something, shut up bro, he literally absorbed the chakra from all 9 Bijus instantly to power up his ultimate Susanoo and Indra's Arrow in his final fight against Naruto. Don't try to tell me Momoshiki's attack had more chakra than that. And even if it did, and even if he does have a limit, it still doesn't mean he couldn't absorb some of the jutsu to minimize the damage. Delta had a limit to what she could absorb, but she could still absorb chakra up until she hit that limit. So Sasuke should be able to do the same, and realistically, he probably can absorb more than that attack based on what he did back in Naruto. But nope, instead he just lets Naruto tank it. It gives him just a little bit of Susanoo armor to help instead of absorbing it or doing both. Or when Naruto, Sasuke, and all the Kage were stuck in the Shadow Possession Jutsu, Sasuke could have absorbed that too, but instead he just hoped that Boruto would save them. I don't think Sasuke uses Jutsu absorption a single time in the Boruto era, but that doesn't mean he can't do it. He's done it in Naruto when he absorbs all the chakra from all the Biju, like how Edo Nagato could absorb chakra from B. Sasuke just chooses not to. I don't think Sasuke has actually used Genjutsu a single time in the Boruto manga either. So does that mean Sasuke doesn't know how to use Genjutsu anymore? Did he get dementia and just forget? No! He just chooses not to use it because it makes for a more intense battle and interesting storyline. Boruto seeing Naruto sacrifice himself and getting the courage to redeem himself with their vanishing Rasengan was a big part of his character development, so I'm not saying the outcome that came from all this was just bad or something, but it is just plot preventing Sasuke from using abilities he could and really should have been using, and Genjutsu would just be another example of that. Don't sit here and say, oh, Sasuke would have used it if he could have used it, when he just let his best friend tank that giant attack and nearly die. Sasuke also uses Ameno Tejikara like an idiot versus Ishiki. The fact is, Boruto fights just aren't always written the best. If they truly wanted Otsutsuki to be immune to Genjutsu, they should actually show it's useless by having Sasuke try it and fails, rather than just forgetting about it entirely. They just don't want Genjutsu to be used in the story, or they forgot about it. It's only used once in the manga that I can think of, and that's by Ao on Katasuke. Sasuke and Sarada never use it, so it's the writing that's the problem, not that Otsutsuki are immune. We've also seen a partial Otsutsuki and Boruto get caught under a Genjutsu in the anime, which is canon whether you like it or not, so having some Otsutsuki DNA doesn't help you out at least. But that's enough common sense ranting. Let's now back up for a second and explain what Genjutsu is and how it works. Genjutsu takes advantage of one of the 5 senses to control your opponent's chakra through their cranial nerves. That's all it is. It's just a very complicated type of jutsu that takes a really smart ninja to use it. They use eye contact, sound, touch, and so on as a means to control their opponent's chakra through their cranial nerves in their brains. So the only requirements to use some type of Genjutsu on someone is that you know how to use Genjutsu, and your opponent has chakra and cranial nerves. That would include an Otsutsuki. If they have chakra and cranial nerves, it can work. I don't care if Otsutsuki aren't born with chakra or whatever you may theorize, because of the Kaguya backstory and Momoshiki always popping pills. I could go on and on about that in greater detail, but it honestly doesn't even matter, because even if you want to be completely annoying about that, and say they can't replenish their chakra and they'll run out of chakra from the chakra fruits eventually, as long as they are wielding chakra during this hypothetical battle against a Genjutsu user, like if Momoshiki absorbs a jutsu from somebody or eats a chakra pill, then they have chakra in that moment. And they obviously have brains, that's why they can talk and think, so don't try to tell me they don't have cranial nerves either. And if Momoshiki doesn't eat a chakra pill or absorb a jutsu, well then he's not that crazy, so he's probably still gonna want to pop the pills. And I don't care if they're a different species, they still have brains and cranial nerves. Dogs, cats, toads, snakes, and so on, they all have brains and cranial nerves. So don't tell me the Otsutsuki don't. So, they can be placed under a Genjutsu. They meet the only 2 requirements you need to use Genjutsu on someone. They are not just immune to Genjutsu where just nothing happens automatically without them having to do anything, unless they have a specific ability with a mechanic for which Genjutsu just wouldn't work. And being stronger or having more chakra does not automatically make you immune to all Genjutsu either. 14-year-old Obito was not stronger than Kurama, he did not have more chakra than Kurama, and he did not have the ability to output more power than Kurama, but that did not stop him from putting Kurama under Genjutsu. Obito just had hacks abilities like Kamui and Genjutsu that made him dangerous, and that's why he was considered stronger than Naruto world, not because of his chakra reserves of power output or physical strength. I don't care if you want to say that tail beasts are specifically weak to Sharingan Genjutsu or whatever, that's still proving my point, that even if you're stronger, someone might be able to beat you with a Genjutsu. It's no different from how someone can be stronger than you, but you can beat them by outsmarting them like Shikamaru versus Hidan, or beating them because you have a hacked jutsu, or just are a hard counter to that person. The Genjutsu is just a hard counter or a hacked jutsu in this case. Genjutsu is no different from the other ninja arts guys, the same stuff still applies. Sasuke largely beat Deidara because he just happened to have lightning style, which was a hard counter to Deidara's clay bombs, and he got some plot armor at the end too. And Kakashi could break through Kakuzu's diamond armor because it was weak to lightning style, which Kakashi had. If Sasuke didn't have lightning style, he would have died to Deidara's C4 because he wouldn't be able to electrocute himself to disable the bombs. Maybe you think Sasuke could have won without lightning style because he mentions having another backup plan, but honestly, I think he's capping, because I don't know what he was going to do about that second C4 he was caught in. And even if you want to say, hey, Deidara was supposed to be immune to Genjutsu, first of all, he still got caught in one, and second of all, he literally explained how he trained his eye to counter Sharingan Genjutsu. He still had an explanation. Sharingan Genjutsu is just an example of a hard counter to a tail beast, just like Wit Style 2, even if they're stronger than you. And I don't want to hear you say,
Kamui, tail beasts aren't humans, so it doesn't count.
well, neither are Otsutsuki, so it doesn't matter. The difference with Itachi, when he told Kurenai,
Genjutsu of that level doesn't work on me,
is that Kurenai was trying to use just a pretty good Jonin level Genjutsu on the Genjutsu god himself, who was super skilled at it and had extremely good chakra control, so some average Jonin Genjutsu was not going to work on him, not just because he has more chakra than her or something like that, although he does. Nothing indicates that Momoshiki or Ashiki, or whoever, are the Genjutsu gods. Only Kaguya has displayed powerful Genjutsu abilities. To give you another example, Hidan is stronger than Kurenai, and could beat more people 1v1 than she could. He literally would have beaten Asuma if Shikamaru didn't save him, even with Shikamaru helping him the whole fight before that. And I think most of you would probably agree that Asuma is stronger than Kurenai, or at least that they are relative. That being said, Kurenai could probably beat Hidan pretty easily with Genjutsu in a 1v1. He probably would need Kakuzu to break him out for him, because even though he's stronger, Hidan just is not very skilled as a ninja, or with chakra control from what we've seen. He's just a crazy immortal guy running around with a scythe and a curse ability, and is pretty decent at taijutsu. Genjutsu is probably just a really good option on him. This is actually a closer comparison to Otsutsuki than you might think, because Momoshiki, Kinshiki, and Urashiki were literally commenting on the interesting ways humans use chakra, implying that they haven't seen chakra used this way before. So they might be completely surprised by some Genjutsu, because they've probably never seen someone like Kabuto running around with a flute to beat you in a fight. Like I said, you can be immune to a specific Genjutsu if there's a specific mechanism for it. Like Sasuke's Rinnegan makes him resistant to the infinite Tsukiyomi, but that doesn't make him immune to all Genjutsu, even if the infinite Tsukiyomi is stronger overall. Sound Genjutsu might still work on him, for example. Pain had a Rinnegan, but that didn't stop Sound Genjutsu from working on him. Tsukiyomi might be a stronger jutsu than Taiyuya's flute, even when Sage Kabuto was using it, but Itachi still got caught under that Genjutsu when Kabuto used it, and Itachi and Sasuke had to use their own Mangekyo Sharingan to break each other out. And Kabuto turned off his eyes specifically so that Itachi couldn't use Tsukiyomi on him, so that might have worked on Kabuto, who was able to catch Itachi in a Genjutsu. So even if an Otsutsuki has a Rinnegan or a Rinne Sharingan, and it just lets them be immune to Sasuke's Sharingan Genjutsu, as an example, that doesn't mean Sound Genjutsu can't work, for example. Oh, and I almost forgot, but Kurenai put Kisame in a Genjutsu in part 1 of Naruto, and I really don't think I should have to argue over the fact that Kisame is definitely stronger than Kurenai in like every way. He's got way more chakra, way better at jutsu, he's just better overall at everything. So being stronger clearly doesn't make you automatically immune to being able to be put in a Genjutsu. They can still be caught by a Genjutsu, because literally Kisame was in her Genjutsu. And Izanami would actually probably work phenomenally well on most Otsutsuki, like with Kabuto, because one of their big character traits is that they are running away from their own fates. They're always running around devouring planets and eating chakra fruits and chakra pills to extend their lifespan and remain youthful. They're running away from death. And they cannot accept the idea of losing a battle against humans, who they view as lesser species, always calling them inferior creatures. And they even plant karma seals in vessels so they can come back to life. They can't accept death or accept defeat. And if you see my karma seal video, then you know that if Ishiki is fleshed out in the manner that I described, then Izanami would probably be even worse on a guy like him. And it doesn't even matter how good their visual prowess is, no matter how fancy their eyeballs are, it can still work because it works by touch rather than eye contact, which is why Itachi could even use it against Kabuto. The jutsu was literally created to use against Mangekyo Sharingan users who were abusing Izanagi because they kept rewriting reality and wouldn't accept their fates. No way this jutsu wouldn't work on some Otsutsuki, other than maybe Kinshiki, because he was the only one who seemed like he could accept death and defeat. And even in the cases of people like Jinchuriki, Itachi, Sasuke getting out of the Tsukiyomi, Sakura breaking that river genjutsu in Naruto the Last, they're not even immune to it, they are just breaking out of it, but they still got caught under the genjutsu. So even if an Otsutsuki can break it easily for some reason, they can still get caught in a genjutsu. So that's all the technicalities I could think of, so now let's talk about practicality. Is it going to be insanely hard to put them in a Genjutsu? And if Otsutsuki are placed in one, can the Otsutsuki just break out of the Genjutsu quickly and easily? The answer is it depends. It depends on how good the Genjutsu is and how good that Otsutsuki is at breaking out of Genjutsu. And let me make this clear. Yes, it does appear that being stronger than your opponent makes you more resistant to Genjutsu, as in it is harder to place you in a Genjutsu, probably because they have so much chakra and strength that it's harder to control their chakra or something. Which is why someone like Kurenai is probably not putting a Shiki in a Genjutsu and winning a 1v1 with him. But even if they are really damn skilled with Genjutsu themselves and are stronger than their opponent, it doesn't mean they can automatically be immune, where just nothing happens, or that they can definitely break the Genjutsu on their own instantly. I gave you the Obito and Kurama example, so now let's use Itachi and Kabuto as an example again. Itachi was definitely a more skilled, experienced, and proficient user of Genjutsu than Kabuto, and the Tsukiyomi is a stronger battle Genjutsu than Taiyuya's flute Genjutsu that Kabuto was using, and the Tsukiyomi literally can kill people in an instant. And Kabuto never displays the raw power and strength that Itachi has with his full Susanoo, yet despite that, Itachi couldn't break out of Kabuto's sound Genjutsu on his own, and neither could Sasuke, and instead Itachi told him to look in his eyes, and they used their Mangekyo Sharingan Genjutsu to break each other out, where Itachi used Tsukiyomi to break Sasuke out. It was just a hack stability that Kabuto had. He was full of hack stabilities. He didn't necessarily have more raw strength than Itachi. Some people think Itachi is stronger. And for those of you who think Kabuto is stronger, guess what? Itachi beat Kabuto with a stupidly broken hack Genjutsu called the Izanami. So either way, it doesn't really make sense if being stronger made you automatically immune. And if they were just pretty evenly matched, then Itachi probably should have been able to break out of Kabuto's Genjutsu on his own, eventually if he was equal to him in strength, if strength was the sole deciding factor here, just like how an Uchiha with an equally strong Sharingan is supposed to be able to resist the Tsukiyomi, but that wasn't the case. Both Itachi and Kabuto could out-hacks each other at one point. So even if an Otsutsuki is stronger than Sage Kabuto, he quite literally might be able to easily beat them with that Genjutsu, and the same goes for the Sage Toad's Genjutsu that Jiraiya used against Pain. Whether you like hearing that or not, it's still possible. He might not be strong enough, but it's possible. Some Genjutsu is just kinda OP because it doesn't matter how cool your eyes are, or if you look into their eyes. It can still work, and it works through Susanoo. And the reason why they don't use it in Boruto is because, I mean, the story just wouldn't be very interesting if they just sent Kabuto running around playing his flute on everybody to beat them. And don't worry, I'll do a video on Sage Kabuto versus Itachi one day in the future. I'm not saying there can't be an example of a character being so strong that they resist a Genjutsu. I'm just saying it doesn't guarantee you will be immune or able to break it. Naruto with Kurama was stronger than Toneri, but somehow he couldn't break that river Genjutsu, but Sakura could. It doesn't guarantee everything for you. Furthermore, if the Otsutsuki has never been caught in a Genjutsu before and so they don't have experience with Genjutsu, they might not even realize they're in one if it's subtle, like the one Sasuke used against Danzo. Alternatively, if a jutsu similar to Tsukiyomi is used on an Otsutsuki, and they are caught in it, the Genjutsu finishes you off in just a moment of real time, so you'd be done for before you even have a chance to say, oh shit, this is Genjutsu, well, let me break it. Maybe Itachi isn't strong enough to put a Shiki in a Genjutsu right now. But if you give him some Hashirama sales, make him the 10 Tails Jinchuriki, and slap some free Hakurombo power-ups onto Itachi, I think he could do it. Before anyone says, well, Sasuke broke out of Itachi's Tsukiyomi and didn't do it in a split second. First of all, Sasuke met the bare minimum requirements Itachi gave for resisting the Tsukiyomi. And more importantly, it is very unlikely that Itachi was going all out there like he did with his Tsukiyomi on his girlfriend, Izumi, and instead was just acting for a number of reasons, and honestly I'll just make a separate video explaining that as thoroughly as I can, so we'll save the explanation for later. But anyway, the point is, Genjutsu can technically work on anybody as long as they have chakra and they have brains, and whether it will be effective in battle just depends on who's using the Genjutsu, what Genjutsu is being used, and who it's being used on, and the reason why it's never shown in Boruto is just because, well, Boruto just doesn't want Genjutsu to be a big part of the series, even though I would like it if we had one character using Genjutsu pretty regularly like Itachi, but I don't get to make that choice. Now, a lot of this discussion started from the base Kawaki vs Sarada debate between Barabi and Mello, so if you guys want me to break that fight down from an in-character and out-of-character analysis, let me know in the comment section below. I already wrote that video out months ago and started editing it, but I'm not going to finish editing it if no one wants to see it, so let me know one way or another in the comment section below. Anyway, I think I've more than thoroughly covered the subject at this point, so feel free to agree or disagree in the comment section below. I think the answer should be obvious by now. I know this was a more laid-back video, not a super in-depth theory or anything, so I hope you at least were entertained and learned something. But that's a wrap on today's video, so thank you guys for watching till the end. Hit the noti bell, like and subscribe if you're new, have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!